everybody, Ben Woodruff here, and in this video we're going to be talking about Native American sewing kits. Which might not seem very exciting, but it's actually quite fascinating because of the similarity and difference. So anciently, people all over the world had to sew. And sewing was, we just think of sewing in terms of clothing, but it was for literally everything back in the day. The ability to take two objects that were able to, be like leather, for example. Leather's a prime example. It's soft, it's pliable, but it's strong, and being able to attach two things together. Okay, so you can make clothing, but also, for example, think about making a shelter, being able to sew, for example, a teepee. Being able to sew if you have an injury, being able to stitch and sew yourself back up. Making a lot of kayaks. There's a lot of skin kayaks that were made by many tribes. So the ability to sew was very important. But that's a bit of a misnomer because most tribes did not sew, they laced. And what is the difference? Well, sewing is when you take a sewing needle, think like a metal sewing needle. It's pointy on one end, it's got a hole on the other, and you have whatever thread you have go through there. And you just sew. The problem with that is if you take a sewing needle or a lacing needle made out of bone or antler or ivory, then what happens is when you're pushing through, when you get to that spot where the hole is, and you have to kind of torque a little bit to pull it through, it'll snap, it'll break almost every time. So instead of sewing, you wanted to do lacing. So lacing is where you take some sort of an awl and you punch holes ahead of time. You punch all the way through where you're going to stitch things up, and then you go through and lace it together with the needle. So the holes are pre-punched. So even though the tip of the sewing needle is sharp, it's actually, again, a lacing needle because you're going through pre-punched holes. So we're going to take a look at this. This is a sewing kit, or lacing kit, I guess I should call it, that I made. It is replicating artifacts that have been found in many museums. So first of all, so it's just all wrapped up in leather. You just keep it with you. It's very convenient. And the first thing you have are the awls. So I have two kinds of awls here. I have awls that are made out of flint. Then again, these are for punching holes through the leather or whatever you're going to stitch up. And I also have awls made out of deer leg bones. So these are nice and strong, and they have a flat end on one side that you can put against the palm of your hand and push through. Now the needles themselves I have are made out of bone and also woolly mammoth ivory. Woolly mammoth ivory is actually fairly available and legal online. You can get little chunks of bark ivory, so made a lot of these out of that. That'll be kind of cool to stitch things up with woolly mammoth ivory. So this is a skill that just about everybody had to stitch up things in any way, shape, or form. These same kind of lacing needles were also valuable in some forms of basketry and in some forms of weaving where you need kind of a leader to go through and do all that. So this is a fascinating skill. And again, it wasn't just used by Native Americans. This is a world heritage skill that humans all over the world use this skill and would have kits similar to this. But it's interesting to see because it's a part of daily life that we do not normally think about. So the Native American sewing kit, or lacing kit if you want to call it that, is again part of the arsenal of how someone would tackle the world around them and shape the world around them. So I hope you enjoyed just seeing a little bit of how this works. If you haven't already, if you could hit subscribe to the channel, I very much appreciate it. And always remember that life is a gift. So never stop learning and never stop exploring. We'll see you next time.